What's up, guys? Your boys are back. I'm Ryan, my man George.
Yeah, man. Shout out to the free thinkers, man. Shout out to everybody on Def the Radio. You know me, who definitely hit us with a lot of requests to get to Joey Badass's new joint. So definitely follow us on Def the Radio, guys. Our focus for the most part, as far as requests are concerned, is definitely going to be primarily Instagram. So follow us there. DEAF #2 Radio. I know we've done a couple joints from him. We did 500 Bands, King to a God. We've done survival tactics with him and Capital Steez. And also, just mentioning Capital Steez, we know that this is a dedication to Capital Steez as well. Many of you guys said it's just told us it's a dedication to Capital Steez. And the song's titled Survivor's Guilt, and that song was titled Survival Tactics. So I don't know if there was a correlation between him titling it that way, but we'll see. Let's get into it, man. Joey Badass, Survivor's Guilt.
I thought I was going crazy, you know? Like, I realized that I wasn't the one that was crazy. I realized that it's the system that was built against me, you know? And, like, I'm not supposed to be talking about this. And that's the corruption of it, because, like, me just saying it is absurd. And I want people to open up their eyes and realize that I'm not wrong, you know? I'm just an open-minded individual, and people should be more open-minded. If we're trying to build up our lives to have material things, and those don't satisfy our needs, what are we living for?
We gonna let the song rock, guys. I promise you we're gonna let this one rock a little bit more than we normally do. Actually, I'm not gonna promise you, but we're gonna try to let the song rock more than we usually do. When those pianos first came in, it sounded like Jay's Dead Presidents. Doom, 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 doom. It sounded like he was gonna take that. So in my head, I was like, oh man, another Dead President sample is gonna be used. And then it transitioned into Dave Hollister, One Woman Man. That I think that's the sample he's using, if I'm not mistaken, which I loved back in the early 2000s. So just wanted to point that out. And Capital Steez essentially was saying one of the things that he mentioned here is he said he's an open-minded individual and people should be more open-minded. If we're trying to build up our lives to have material things and those don't satisfy our needs, what are we living for? Yeah, real shit spoken there. Yep. All right, man, let's pull it back and get back to it.
Bye.
This one is for you. 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 Steezy told me get him, so I got him. Now my nigga gone, he would never be forgotten. Ever since he left, I just been struggling without him. Cause I remember linking at the school and we be plotting. Talk about our problems and what we do about them. Journaling and jotting, we ain't know the world was watching. We was just two kids trying to make it out the bottom. Now I'm rich and rotten, every day I think about him. It's survivor's guilt. Wishing I could've stopped him, let alone just know how he feel. Lyrically couldn't top him, he was the nigga with the bill. Yeah, and that's real rap, I couldn't do this shit without him. And that's just fact, you see, if you ain't no Steelo, then you really don't know me though. And that's how I separate all the real from fake people, all the real from fake fans who claiming that they stands, but they ain't on my mans. Until the very end, when she was still here, I swear it feels weird how people could accuse me for his death. Sometimes I gotta shed a real tear. You see the truth about Steelo, he like the mental health, but try to tell that to people way back in 2012. But now that it's a mainstream topic, I'm guessing I could finally open up and talk about it. So yeah, let's talk about it. Come into my mind, I'll show you where the darkest cloud is. You ready? I doubt it, but let's go. You see, Steelo was my bigger bro. At a point in time, spiritually, we was in the same boat, but I wanted to take it slow. He wanted to take it as fast and deep as he could go. Pause. Yeah, we had some problems, but we're brothers, don't. Sure. Then I caught a little wave and headed back to shore, and that's when he started drowning. And he had no one around him, so partially I feel it's my fault. And that right there is my internal war. The reason why I gotta feel these external flaws. The reason why I can't heal these eternal loss. The reason why I gotta feel this survivor's remorse. And here's a message to his fam. I know y'all got emotional trauma that I understand, but I couldn't fuck with. Y'all try to tell the world I wasn't who I am, when all I ever tried to do was lend a hand and get the fans the thing that they demand the most. King Capital to fucking go. Why? I'm just trying to get my nigga her, get him what he deserve. This one is for you.
It is, dude.
This one is for you.
And real and vulnerable, honest. You know, there's a lot in here that we could touch, man. I like the mental health line in here. Sometimes I gotta shed a real tear. You see, the truth about Stilo is he lacked the mental health, but try to tell that to people way back in 2012. And so for those of you who don't know, Capital Steez' song is sort of a dedication to his friend Capital Steez, who was in the group Pro Era with him, and his friend Capital Steez ended up committing suicide, unfortunately. So rest in peace to Capital Steez. We'll kind of start there. But it's interesting. His friend, suffered from mental health, and back in 2012, let's face it, man. There have been some extremely big strides in at least trying to understand mental health and the level of sort of empathy and sympathy that society has towards mental health in present day. But back then, it wasn't as much understanding regarding mental health as it is today. So when there's a lack of understanding, essentially what that means is there was just ignorance surrounding it, right? So when he says try to tell somebody that back in 2012, him crying and him having sort of whatever, going through depression just wasn't understood. So people just probably weren't really receptive to it. And it probably drove him deeper into whatever depression he was going to, and probably aided in why he's not with us today, right? So I think that's just a powerful and important line that he touched there. He said some things here that I guess I wasn't aware of. I mean, he was talking about how people were blaming him for Capital Steez's death. So this is a guy that was his best friend, that he grew up with, that he came in the game with, that he, was trying to establish his career through, right? This is his partner in crime. And then after his death, people were just blaming him. So that's something that I guess I just wasn't aware of. And then on top of that, it looks like he was trying to get Capital Steez's music out there. He wanted to release some of his music, and I guess Capital Steez's family was against that and probably resented Joey Badass as a result of it. Maybe because they felt that he was trying to capitalize off of Capital Steez's death. I don't know. I'm just trying to understand. Because right here he said, and here's a message to his fam. I know y'all got emotional trauma. That I understand, but I couldn't fuck with the fact that y'all were trying to tell the world that I wasn't who I am. And then he went on to say, when all I ever tried to do was lend a hand and get the fans the thing that they demanded the most, King Capital. So that's kind of what I'm getting out of that is he was just trying to give the fans Capital Steez's music because he has a cult following, man. A lot of people really, really, really think they love Capital Steez, and they appreciate that movement that Pro Era had. And Joey Badass being obviously the leader of it, his family was probably just thinking, like I said earlier, man, that he was trying to take advantage of, monetize off of his death. So maybe then there was some character assassination going on. But I like how he sort of tried to at least understand the side of the family. I feel like he understands that it probably wasn't as personal as it was at the time because they were just dealing with the trauma of their son passing or whatever the case may be, or dad or brother or whatever the case may be. So at least, but he has to also acknowledge that wasn't cool though, regardless of what the circumstances are, that's not okay because that's not what my intention was. My intention was to keep his name alive for the fans. So really, really, just poignant, and I love that he's just pouring his heart out on this.
He said, yeah, we had some problems, but what brothers don't? Then I caught a little wave and then headed back to shore. His success, right? I started getting popping. I started getting a lot of popularity. Songs started popping and things, success came my way. But that's catch a little wave, right? Then I headed back to shore, right? That's success is the wave. I was trying to make my money, but I came back to see how you were doing. And that's when he started drowning. But drowning in maybe personal problems or maybe things at the house or whatever, family problems, who knows, what led him to the end result. And then he said, and he had no one around him because I was busy chasing my career. You know what I mean? So I felt partly responsible. I felt like it was he said, I feel it's my fault. So partially I feel like it's my fault. So I think that feels a little guilty, right? Survivor's guilt, right? I think he feels a little guilty because of his success. And you shouldn't feel guilty when you're successful, but he felt like maybe he wasn't there for Steez like he should have been. So I thought that was really great writing.
Great writing. Let's keep it going.
King Capital to fucking go. Why? I'm just trying to get my nigga her, get him what he deserve. This one is for you. This one is for you. This one is for you. Yeah. And RP my cousin Junior B. Y'all ain't know too much about him, so it's up to me. To share his legacy with the world, it kills me to think you'll never meet my baby girl. And when I lost June, that hurt me in the worst way. He even died 2 days before his birthday. Damn, it brings tears in my eyes. My nigga really never made it up to 25. That's why I'm thanking God every time I open my eyes. At the fact that we alive and we feeling these vibes. Cause we be feeling these voids. Part of me got destroyed when I lost my boys. It's like I lost my voice. It took me all of this time just to put it in song. Because I'm still dealing with the fact my niggas is gone. Write their names up on the cloud cause that's where they belong. As long as I live on, they'll forever be known. This one for you. This one for, yeah. This one is for you, This one is for you, No, you'll forever be known. This one is for you, This one is for you, yeah. This one is for you, This one is for you, yeah.
Yeah, I'm off the DeLeon neat. DeLeonist. So I'm gonna make this quick, Pastor Blacklead back on that shit. True story. So I'm in New York, one of my first times, and I'm playing one of my first albums for the big homie, and he got these kids in there. They just on skateboards. I'm like, yo, it's super cool. This guy got the kids out here, keeping the kids off of the streets, right? So fast forward a year later, I go back to New York, and then I meet this kid. He's like, yeah, man, I don't know if you remember me and my homies, the pro era. Crazy. I was like, oh, yeah, what's your name? He said, Capital Steez. I said, okay, for sure. Fast forward, my boy Doe called me. Doe Burger. And he called me and said, yo, you heard these kids the pro era? Joey Badass? I'm like, yeah, I met the kid Capital Steez. They crazy. Fast forward another year or so, I'm on tour with Joey. We've been 47 ever since, man. We got that shit tatted on us, man, for life, man. Church on the move, man. Everything come back around full circle.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was a beautiful song, man.
It was.
That was a very, very real, honest, authentic, heartfelt dedication to not only his friend Capital Steez, but it looks like his cousin Junior, who passed away as well, is what he was talking about in that last verse. And Ab-Soul, shout out to Ab-Soul as well. We done some stuff with Ab-Soul. Ab-Soul was super dope. And Ab-Soul kind of gave a little story about his, his experience meeting Pro Era and how they've sort of, become really close. So I thought that was a nice touch as well. And that's something that's interesting because Ab-Soul seems to be a guy that is very rarely out there. Like I don't see him in interviews often. Yeah. When he puts music out, it's sporadic. So he keeps it low. So for Joey Badass to get him on this, I think is very telling. You know what I mean? For how much love and respect he has for Joey Badass in the Pro Era team. One thing I noticed is I think that Dave Hollister song One Woman Man came out in 2000. So the new album that Joey Badass has is is 2000. Obviously he had an album called 1999. Gives you sort of, those nostalgic vibes. So it's interesting that he used the David Hollister sample from One Woman Man in 2000 to kind of complement the album 2000. So I don't know if that's going to be a running theme throughout the entire album, if he's going to be taking samples from that time period and kind of flipping them and kind of making music based off of that. But I thought that was a great sample to use for what he did on this song, man. And honestly, man, when I hear songs like this, heartfelt songs, it's a good listen, but it's usually a one-time listen. Like I've heard it and I'm like, I don't know if I want to go back to it and listen to it. I heard they got what they needed to get off and, they bared their soul. Oftentimes, I'm not really interested in revisiting songs like this. This is actually going to be a playlist song for me because I could just play this. I feel like this is very, very smooth. And I love the chorus in this. I think the chorus is not overdone. He's not trying. It was just smooth. And it complemented the production very well. And so this is gonna be a playlist joint for me, man. Shout out to Joey Badass.
Yeah, man. I would just say this is a beautiful song, man. Especially just as a dedication, man. When he mentioned he lost Junior, which hurt him in the worst way. And he died 2 days before his birthday. It's like, I feel that to die young and to die 2 days before your birthday and you lost Capital Steez too is like, man, it really hits you in a way that's probably undescribable, man. And I think he really did a good job saying that. Like, dude, after that, he said, I thank God every day I open my eyes. You got to be thankful because tomorrow's not promised, especially when you lose people close to you. That really is reality. You know, because I think we all know that. You know, we all say that. We know that tomorrow's not promised. But, you know, when someone dies that's close to you, it really paints that picture. It's real. So I think that was beautiful in that way, man.
You're trying to mourn a very close friend's death, and you're also being blamed for their death. And then on top of that, the people that were closest to him, his direct family, may be misinterpreting your intentions, and there's a breakdown in communication, so his family's against you. So it's just, you know, I'm sure that was a very, very, very dark time for Joey. You know what I mean? And it was a great send-off. I thought he did an amazing job. So give us some other suggestions from the new album 2000. That's it. If you guys enjoyed it, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm George. That's Ryan. Lost in Vegas. We out.